Hi guys, and I trust that you're all well at this very trying time that we find ourselves in. Just a small disclaimer before we get going, just to let you know that this video was actually recorded 3 weeks ago on top of a mountain in Wales. It also contains one or two choice words, laddish words shall we say, and also there is an image that some viewers might find very, very distressful or very, very erotic. This is Nick, everybody. The first thing Nick said to me, "Oh, I like your muff." That's good. He's making reference to the muff on top of the microphone, on top of the camera. Hi guys, I'm still in Wales. A very special day today because I'm out with a guy called Nick Livesey. How do you spell it?
Livesey.
Livesey.
Yeah.
Said I've got it wrong already.
Yeah.
My good lifelong friend, whose name I can't pronounce. He's that lifelong a friend. No, this is Nick, by the way. He's a local photographer. Local to where?
Capelcerrig in Snowdonia I live.
And Snowdonia. But more importantly than that, he's an author of a fantastic book. But this isn't a sponsored thing at all, is it?
Oh no.
Is it? Well, you can start off then. I'm not getting paid at all.
Hey, come back!
You pay me anything to say that? He's a miserable sod,
I'll pay you in kindly.
Yeah, that could come across wrong. Right guys, welcome to this week's vlog. Very, very special indeed. We're off to some amazing locations, I'm led to believe, of which I have to keep secret, but we'll try and give you an update. When I say update, basically a brief explanation of where we are, because it's quite special even for this area of the world. Is that right?
It is indeed. This is the prime area. This is the liminal place. We're in the northern Rhynogydd, that's all I'm going to tell you, and it's amazing.
And it does look fantastic. The best part of this journey so far, we must have travelled about 2/3 of the way up the mountain in the van. Now that's fantastic, isn't it?
Oh aye.
You've got to be happy with that. We'll try and fill you in with little snippets of information as to where we are right now, because it's pretty cool. But rather than me make a hash of the pronunciation, even though I'm born and bred in Wales, clearly I still struggle. So Nick, up there is the first place you pointed out.
Well, that's Moel Ysgyfarnogod, which is the bare hill of the hare.
Okay, so what's that again?
Moel Ysgyfarnogod. Have a go. Moel Ysgyfarnogod.
Ysgyfarnogod.
Iawn, da iawn.
Iawn.
The interesting thing about this area also is the geology. In northern Snowdonia it's mainly rhyolitic tuffs and volcanic material, but here in the Rhynogydd it's Cambrian gritstone, which is some of the oldest rocks in the British Isles, if not the world. And you'll notice it's very different. It's full of crystals, it's sedimentary, and it's really rough and beautiful. It's gorgeous stuff, it really is.
I've got a wife like that at home.
Beautiful and rough.
Well, except the beautiful bit. I'll cut that out. We just stood admiring the view, just having a quick break, and we just had an interesting conversation. I just so happened to have said into the camera that every now and again I just like to take a picture of what I could see without being too anal about trying to get everything right. And Nick said something that was quite apt.
Well, what I was saying was, I think a lot of the time with those landscape photographers, the composition can tend to be a little bit too perfect a lot of the time now, and I think we spend too much time, working on foregrounds and such, to an extent that the image hasn't got any room to breathe, and it feels very clinical and a bit too perfect, I think, sometimes.
Clinical, boring on the edge of boring, I suppose, really. And I said I'm guilty of that. I really am guilty of that. I won't take a picture unless I make sure, if if there's foreground in the image, the foreground is in exactly the right place. And it's true though, it's true. At the end of the day, I try and strive for perfection, but what really is perfection when it comes to landscape photography? Because most people, they'll come out with their iPhones because the walk is more important than the photography, but they want to take pictures just to document where they are or where they've been. And sometimes that could be better photography, really, I think.
Yeah, I think when the photographic community takes ownership of what's right in a photograph and what isn't, I think that's a dangerous road to go down. But me, I would sacrifice composition over mood and emotion every time. Ideally, I'd like to get both, but if you're taking, sometimes you've got to be reactive. You haven't always got an hour to spend working a scene.
Yeah.
Sometimes the light just hits and you've got to get it.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. I like that. That's yeah, I like that.
Especially in the mountains.
Yeah, so true. Well, I am first to say it. More often than not, people just want the walk and then take pictures literally to document where they've been. Where for me, the walk is a means to an end. It's just to get to a point where I can take perfect pictures. But again, you know, it's just down to this word. What does perfect mean? Sometimes perfect can be boring.
Well, I reckon you might get some up there.
I thought you were going to say, yeah, Gary, you are boring. No, but I think it's good to get the perspective from other people and not just from us so-called experts, because
self-proclaimed experts.
So self-proclaimed expert, absolutely, yeah. Good, I like that, it's cool.
Going on about the abstract stuff. It's very nice, of course, but I'm more interested in the lichen here, which is absolutely unbelievable. It's called, I can't remember its Latin name, but I know the second word's geographica. It's known as map lichen, so it looks like a map. It's absolutely fantastic, beautiful.
Looks like spray paint. It looks good kill right now. You can say no, bed.
No, I've been told I'm not allowed to swear.
Yeah, you can't swear.
You twat.
This is stunning. Every step higher and higher just reveals more and more the rock formation, the mountains. I've never seen anything like it. It's beautiful. Obviously that's the reason why Nick decided to bring us up here, because it's a pretty much one of a kind area. It's just beautiful. Haven't got my camera out yet. We're having a geography lesson or a geology lesson. Gaz and I have just decided it's like being on a 1 to 2. We've come out so we can have a bit of a collaboration together, and I'm just getting taught stuff. And my head's swelling. I'm finding it difficult enough to breathe walking up these blasted hills. Now my brain is working overload as well, trying to take all this in. So I'm going to hand the camera to you, or I'll point the camera to you.
Yeah,
I'll be cameraman for a second, because he's telling us all these things off camera and they're absolutely fascinating. So if you want to listen to some fascinating stuff, listen to this. Hang on a sec, let me go behind and point the camera at him. This is great, hang on.
Route to point.
Right, hang on. Clap aboard.
Right, I mentioned the Cambrian gritstone before, which is up there. But down below, we've got a seam of manganese. We've got the manganese here, which was mined, which has created all these overhangs and stuff, and you've got these wonderful tottering blocks of gritstone. And when I come here, I always think about my climbing days when I used to sometimes climb in the Peak District, places like Stanage Edge, Burbage, that kind of place. And I see all this untouched gritstone and I see climbing lines all over it, and it makes me want to get me rock shoes out and do a couple of new routes. But this marks the point where we're penetrating the interior of the wonderful Llwynogedd, and it's a very special place to me. It's primeval. It's got a real feeling that the glaciers only moved out yesterday, and you quite expect a pterodactyl to come down and pinch your sandwiches at any moment. It's that kind of place. It's so different from the northern hills of Snowdonia where I live, and it's a place I come to when I want solitude and to take photographs, which not many other people have got.
Right, okay, right. We're off camera now. We're off camera. Stop sounding so intelligent. People will switch off from me and never watch me again. Stop it.
Well, I'm thick as shit, mate.
Well, yeah, good. Keep it like that. Keep it like that.
School without any GCSEs to become a rock guitarist.
Rock guitar.
Yeah.
You got half of it right.
Yeah,
You got the rock right.
Yeah. I only play the one-string banjo now.
like C16. One mic between us. It's a little bit antiquated, but right, I get to spend some time with you and ask you some questions. Spoke earlier on, Nick Livesey.
Livesey, yeah.
Livesey.
Yeah.
Why am I making that sound really quite complicated?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, why are you?
It's just English in general, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
Reading those long words. This is Nick, by the way. He's a very good friend of mine. We touched base and tried to do this a while ago, actually, didn't we? But it just never materialised for whatever reason. But Nick, for people who don't know you, tell us who you are.
I'm Nick Livesey. I'm a landscape photographer, a mountain photographer. I'm a mountain leader, and I'm an author. And I live in Snowdonia. I live in Capelcerrig.
That's the best bit for me. How does that feel, being an author? Because
Fantastic.
Because it is a label. At the end of the day, it's a label that you're labelled. It could be a self-label, you understand? It's just such a fantastic thing, being called an author.
If I go to my grave tomorrow, which I hope I don't, but it will give me great satisfaction knowing that I can call myself an author, because I didn't do very well at school. I got no GCSEs. I left school early to be a rock guitarist. And
that worked out well for you then.
30 years later, 30 years later, here I am.
With me.
With you.
Jesus.
It's like a dream come true.
It's gone downhill for you, hasn't it?
Oh,
it's really gone downhill for you.
No, this is probably definitely one of the highlights.
One of the highlights, yeah. Jeez. Right, I want to point out, you sound like a conceited asshole if you say, oh, by the way, this isn't a paid-for advert or anything, but this really isn't. I got hold of Nick's book, and it's again, I'm not even saying this to try and push your book. Obviously, I'm hoping if people see this, they'll take a look at your book, but your book is absolutely fantastic, because it's not just a book of pictures. It really isn't. And I got to commend you for that, because it's a very well thought out book. It's a book of roots. It's not just a photography book, is it?
No, it's a photo location and hill walking guidebook.
Like a scout guidebook.
What I want it to do, or what it seems to be doing, is I want hill walkers to become better at photography.
Cool.
And I want photographers to be able to find independence to go in the mountains themselves.
Okay.
And I hope that's what the book does, because apart from all the routes, and there are roadside locations as well, there's lots of information in there on mountain safety and what to wear, the weather. So it's more to it than just a photography book.
Cool, and I love that. What came first? Hill walking, mountain climbing, or photography?
Hill walking.
You tend to find, in my experience of speaking to people, and I've mentioned it. I mentioned it earlier on in the vlog as well. Is lots of people will they'll go out there, they'll enjoy the fresh air, but they'll take pictures just to document their trip, to come home, show their respective partner or friends or family. Hey, this is where I went. You should have seen it. It was fantastic. Did it start off like that? Then all of a sudden, these pictures don't really do it justice. So now I'll spend more time taking pictures better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It did start like that, because I grew up in Peterborough, which is the flattest place on earth.
Very picturesque.
Oh, yes.
Just like this.
It's very flat on the edge of the fens.
Yeah.
And obviously when I came back from the mountains, and I fell in love very hard and very quickly with the mountains. So I wanted to bring a little piece of them home. So like everybody else, I took a camera to document my trips. But so in love was I with the mountains that I wanted to express that to other people. So at first I wanted to be a writer, but having no real formal education in journalism, there was no way I could achieve that. So every now and then you'd get some nice light and you think, oh God, maybe photography is a way of expressing this love for them. And there were several occasions where the conditions were extraordinary and I thought, yeah, photography is the way. So I got myself a Canon G12.
Awesome.
This is 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And that was the start of it.
Wow. But I mean, that's testament to the world in which we live as well. Like you said, you've no right to be an author. You've no right, because you left school, probably labelled and branded at that point without any qualifications as maybe being a thicko. You're going to do thicko jobs for the rest of your life until you die, and you're going to be a nobody. But here you are. I'm interviewing you because you're an author of an outstanding book.
Thanks.
I mean, if you could have said anything to me when it comes to you talking to me about your educational qualifications. It's meaningless. Now, at this point in time, this point in our lives, it's meaningless. You've written a book and it's very well received and you sell and have sold loads of copies. So well done to you.
Thanks.
That's an even bigger achievement then, isn't it?
Well, the thing is with education, or at least formal education, in my life and the way it's panned out, I don't think learning algebra would have been much use to me.
I say the same thing as
So,
well.
you know,
That's my excuse for being a thicko. Who needs algebra?
I don't know much about trigonometry either.
There's a song in there. There's a song in there somewhere, I'm sure there is. Yeah.
But when I'm passionate about something, I become quite obsessed. And I've always self-educated myself. And in terms of photography and the mountains, that's the journey I've been on.
Yeah.
And, you know, I want to know everything about them. I want to know about the geology. I want to know about the man's impact on the landscape. I want to know about the history. I want to know all about it.
Yeah.
And that's what I've done, which makes me quite boring, really, because I'm a bit of a, you know, I just can't. I'm like a broken record, I am. Mountains.
I don't know why, but every time I go out with people, if they don't vlog for some unknown reason, I always, not necessarily try and get them to vlog, but we were talking about, I was trying to get Nick to maybe consider starting to vlog. So it would give him another form of documenting when he's out and about in the hills, which I thought would be a good idea. So he then started asking questions about, well, what would I need to do if I was a vlogger? And one of them, he said, I'd have to come across as maybe being compassionate or passionate about what I do. And I said, no, that's one thing you'll never need to do. You'll never need to do that, because one thing I've learned from Nick this morning, you just ooze that. You ooze that. You know, all of a sudden I'm pointing to a bit of rock and you go straight into a spiel and telling me all about how the rock was formed and everything. So it's in your blood. So that side of it is just oozing passion.
Well, these places are incredibly important to me.
Yeah.
You know, it's not an exaggeration to say that they're my life.
Fantastic.
They really are. And immersing myself in this landscape and becoming, you know, fostering an intimate relationship with this one area rather than travelling all over the place. That's really important, and it's very rewarding because I'm not a tourist. I'm living it.
Fostering.
You like that?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That.
Yeah.
I like that. That's good.
Well, I got a thesaurus when PhotoView commissioned me to do the book. I thought I'd better get one of those thesauruses.
How did that happen?
Well, I got onto W.H. Smith's and bought it.
At what point in your career were you approached, or did you approach somebody?
No, I was approached
about writing the book.
I was approached by Mick Ryan, and he's the main man at PhotoView, and he had a history of being on UK climbing. He worked for ukclimbing.com, which is a big site for us climbers. And I used to post my photos on there, and I also write routes for them as well, little route cards.
Right.
So he realised after a while that he can write and he can take photos. So we're going to ask him to do this book. And after a couple of false starts, we finally got it together, and the contract came through, and I wet my pants. It was pant-pissing excitement. And to this day, I don't think my underpants have really dried out.
Such a fascinating tale. Well, let's talk about the book very briefly. Some of the pictures in there are just are fantastic. absolutely fantastic. But I mentioned to you off camera earlier on, is there anywhere that you've struggled to grab a picture? And you told me that fascinating tale that you've been to. What?
Well, because I've been here for so long now, I've lived here
Yeah.
for 7 years and I'm very active in the mountains. I've got pretty much all the classic scenes, but
Yeah.
some of them have taken me quite a few attempts. For instance, everybody wants a dawn shot from Gough,
Right.
and that took me 4 goes to get it. You know, climbing up there in my own.
So for
on my
anybody
own in the dark.
for anybody that's never been there or don't know what you're talking about, what's that journey like? Because it's not 2 minutes from a car, is it?
Well, no, it starts at Penna Pass, which is the main jumping off point for the 2 most popular paths up Snowdon. And Gough is like an arête. It's a very narrow ridge, which is probably the width of a dry stone wall. It's quite notorious, and it's a rite of passage for most hill walkers. But there's a lot of scrambling involved, and it could be quite daunting if you're scared of heights. Coming from a rock climbing background, I'm okay there. But even so, when you're starting out in the morning and it's pitch black and you're having to go up there on your own, it's a little bit spooky, you know. And then you sit there waiting in a cloud, and it's like... oh,
Hoping that it
God.
lifts.
Yeah, and it doesn't.
All right. Wasted morning.
Yeah, that bloody Michael Fish.
He's got a lot to answer for.
He has.
I think he has, actually. Leave it at that. Let's talk about... you must have a favourite. Do you have a favourite picture in the book?
No. The thing with the photography is I get a real buzz from a good photograph, but it fades pretty quickly.
Okay.
There's a couple in there I like. There's one of Marchlin Mawr.
A couple that you
and
like.
Elidia Fawr from Carna de Villiast.
Right.
That's a nice one.
Are you making a note of all these names?
No, I'm not, I'm not really that proud of my photography.
Really?
Not at all, no. I hang around with some really good photographers. People
Today,
like
especially.
Greg Whitten.
Especially today.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Greg who? I'll beep that one out.
Greg Whitten. Just Greg Whitten, really. No one
That's
wants-
it. Nobody else.
No, Leah Castor, Carl Mortimer. I know Doug Chinnery.
Okay.
Took him up Snowdon.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Yeah, that was good. That's another story.
I'd go up
But
there as
no,
well
I'm
if you
not-
had a cable car.
No, they're all proper photographers. They're all proper, and yourself, of course. But I don't consider myself as
I was
such.
going to say none taken. They're like you, but proper photographers.
Yeah. I'm just someone who loves the mountains, who takes a camera with me,
I know.
you know.
I could tell. It oozes.
Although I've got to say, I used to have this crappy Samsung thing, right?
Right.
£60 compact camera, and I was on the Ernacagach in Glencoe. I think it was New Year's Eve 2008, and we had a marvellous temperature inversion, and I took this photograph, and this was a couple of years before I considered being a photographer, but it was on one of those occasions when I thought, blimey, this might be the medium I'm looking for. Anyway, that got into one of the Landscape Photographer of the Year books. It
Really?
got commended, yeah. On a £60 compact camera taken by somebody who wasn't a photographer. So what I think the message there is, it's not about photography, it's about passion. And if you're passionate about your subject matter, that's the hardest thing. That's the most important thing to have. Because technically you can all learn photography, the exposure triangle, composition. You know, there are 101 things online for you to do that. But you've got to love what you're doing. You've got to burn with it. You've got to be passionate. You've got to love it. You can't live without it. And if you took my camera away, I'd still want to go in the mountains. If you take me away from the mountains, I'm not sure I'd want to take photos or anything.
Can't follow that. It's got me welling up, that. No, but I jest aside, though, but...
That's just me, you know.
No, but it's... I felt that from you while we were walking, while we've obviously travelled up to where we are currently. Every time you speak, I can hear it. I could feel it. The passion is there. You didn't have to tell us any of the things that you told us all the way up, but you've almost felt, guys, I can't walk past without telling you what this rock formation or how this rock actually formed all these millions of years ago. And you know, and it was a joy to listen to, and I love that. You take people for walks. I mean, as it you.
I do, you know, as a qualified mountain leader, I do lead walks. I run hill skills courses for photographers to help them gain independence. And I want to bring the landscape alive. Because it's not just something to point your camera at.
Sure.
It's a living landscape.
Yep.
There's geology.
Love it.
There's flora, there's fauna, there's history. You know, it's all there. It's a really deep and interesting arena of study. And I encourage others to maybe enrich their photographic trips by becoming more involved in the landscape.
I can't follow that. It's brilliant, fantastic. You need to vlog. Come on, let me get you vlogging.
It gets in the way of walking, doesn't it? Because you have to pick up the camera and all this shit. And sorry, I said shit. Oh shit!
Don't stop swearing.
Sorry. The camera bit's flashing now.
Oh, it flashes. That's the battery. Look, seriously. If you must be able to feel it and sense it and hear the passion from Nick. I'm desperately trying to get him to start vlogging, and I think he should.
I might do.
I think you should.
I might. I'll think about it.
Let us know what you think. Let me just change this battery. Just a brief interruption. I found myself, probably like a lot of you guys, sat at home now twiddling my thumbs trying to figure out what I can do. So a couple of choices. I can go back over my old work and create new videos from old content that I've never used before, and I've got quite a lot of it. Or what I thought I would do instead is, starting tomorrow, I'm going to start creating videos for photography that you and I can both do at home now, today. That's my plan. I've created a new studio at home, basically as my grandson's box room. So I'm going to be really contained in a very small area, but that's fine. So if I can still create some decent work, then I'm sure you can as well. I'll talk more about my setup: one camera, one microphone, one light, and basically me sat here. I might utilize other rooms in the house as well. It just depends what we're going to learn. But basically they're going to be tutorials, all completely free, of course, all on my normal YouTube channel. And if you want to find out more, then either follow me on my Facebook group or, of course, subscribe to this video. Just one lav mic between us. I forgot to bring a second one. Yeah, I think you should vlog. I do, honestly, I think you should vlog. Not that you need, what I tend to find, I mentioned this to you earlier, what I tend to find, the reason why I enjoy vlogging the most is because I can't stay in next week. I've got to go out because I have to make a vlog. So it forces me to go out. I don't call this being forced at all anyway, but it stops me from being a lazy so-and-so.
Yeah.
Sitting there. It stops giving me an excuse to be lazy. Do you know what I mean? You don't need that. But what I'm saying is, you know, find it would be another great way of just recording what you do. Maybe you could do a weekly vlog for routes that are in your book. What about that as a challenge to you?
That's not a bad idea. I could do almost companion pieces to each chapter in the book.
Yeah.
And
but the history along the way as well.
Yeah, I suppose I could enlarge on some of the themes which run through the hills.
Like you were telling us about the famous Inca people from Wales, just round the corner.
The manganese.
The manganese. There's an old manganese work just round the corner. And I thought when he mentioned manganese, he was making reference to an old, like Inca people of Wales.
Like a Celtic tribe.
That's how thick and stupid I am, yeah. But no, but again, when you told us that tale of how it all, you know, how everything evolved and develops, and it's just brilliant. I think it's really fantastic. And you put it across so well that you could do that on a weekly vlog, and I'm convinced it would do especially well.
I've tried to in the past, but I find it difficult on my own. When I've got someone asking me questions and prompting me, I can talk.
Well, just have prompt questions.
Well, I could do, I suppose. I've got a lot to learn from you, haven't I?
No one's got anything to learn from me.
Oh, I don't
Nobody.
know about that. I'm sure there's a lot you could teach me.
Right, enough of me badgering you. Right, this book, I absolutely love this book. What about a second book?
Yes, there is one. I've just started it.
Okay.
I'm not allowed to tell you what it is just yet.
Okay.
It's another photo view guide.
Oh, confidentiality.
It is, and it will be in Snowdonia.
Okay.
But that's as much as I'm allowed to say. Yeah.
When somebody commissions you to do a book, seriously, do they put pressure on you for time? Do they say, right, this needs to be in the shop for November the 1st?
Well,
because that would be a pressure, especially when you've got to come to here and the light might not be right. Well, that's another day to come here again.
Well, it's difficult. It really is difficult. But I had a year to do it, which was optimistic to say the least.
Yeah.
And I came in 18 months over deadline. So it took me 2.5 years.
Really?
Because, for instance, there's 15 main walks in the book.
Right, right.
And I looked at some of the dates on the photos for the Hrinogydd walk, for instance, and I realised that I'd done that walk 12 times. So it's a lot of miles.
Any rubbish pictures in there?
Loads.
Oh, this is really sad in the book. There isn't any rubbish pictures in there at all.
How can you do it, though? I mean, not every picture... And it's not about my pictures. It's not about people saying, wow, that's a great picture. It's about people saying, oh, that looks like a good place. I'm going to go and get my picture.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. It's inspiring. Some of them are all right.
But this is going back to what we were saying earlier, and let's mention that again, because Nick is educating me in terms of, you know, I see a lovely scene, and now I've got to translate that into a perfect picture. It's in my blood. That's what I have to do. But like you said, sometimes if you over perfect everything, it becomes an obvious picture to the point where it could become boring. We don't want to cover what we said earlier, but sometimes you've got to get away from that and just take a picture of what you see, what you like.
A lot of shots I see these days, they're so perfect that they almost appear to be sterile.
Engineered.
Now, these environments, and let's not forget, we're landscape photographers.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about the landscape.
Yeah.
These places aren't sterile. If I rub that, I'm getting crystals, the lichen here. You know, we're sitting on a load of bilberry here. This is real, this is in my hands. Look at it, I can smell it. I don't want it to look like it's been in some kind of studio where everything is pristine, because nature isn't pristine in that way, visually.
Yeah.
You know, it's a sensual thing. It's not just a visual thing. You use all your senses, you can smell it, you can feel it.
I can't interview you because you're talking, I'm just sat there like this. My jaw down here, I've just been drawn in.
But there's more to it than pictures, Gary, isn't there?
Absolutely.
It's got to be. It's got to say something. Is it an art form? Do you think landscape photography is an art form?
Do you know that the thing is, I probably do, and I know that's a mistake. Because to me, I mentioned this to you earlier. I'm getting excited about it now. Gaz and I, we come to places like this quite often. Not obviously here, I've never been here before, but to walk here is a means to an end. When we get here, this is now our journey. Now begins because oh wow, there's a lake. Let's find something of interest. There's a lone tree. Now all of a sudden I'm matching all this together, and now I'm being that landscape photographer. And I don't care about the walk up here. But that walk you sent us on yesterday, that was last week's vlog, by the way. What was that called?
Crimpiau.
Crimpiau, that's it. I said to you the first time ever, I actually thoroughly enjoyed the walk. In which case, when it got to the end of the day, when we started taking pictures, it almost seemed like as if it was the PS at the end of a letter. You know, we've had such a great day. oh, let's get some pictures as well. And that's what today feels like as well.
Well, I think if your pleasure hinges on the photographic results, you're going to spend time outdoors and be very disappointed a lot of the time.
Agreed totally.
And, you know, that's a terrible shame.
Yeah. I feel like I'm getting educated here today. And it's great, but I love it. I love it.
I'm glad you're enjoying yourself.
What I'm going to do, let's stop this interview now and let's carry on, because we've got another 3 or 4 places to go to.
Yeah.
We're suitably refreshed. Let's just ask you some more questions on the way.
Yeah, let's go and see what we can find.
Cool. Thanks for your time so far.
No, thank you. The Duffy Hills. You've got Hrobesfawr there, which is an old extinct volcano. And there you've got the Arans as well, Aran Fawr, Aran Benchley and Glasgwm. Over there is Arenig Fawr, and Moel Llyfnant, Arenig Fach, and the great big sweep of the Mygenant Moors, which is one of the largest blanket bogs in Europe. Absolutely tremendous place that is, very, very lonely and wild.
So Nick's passion continues. He's explaining how people come up here and build stones, and he comes up and he knocks them down again because he doesn't want people to try and improve the nature, the natural beauty, and he didn't want to commercialise it, quite rightly so as well. He said, having said that though, he's discovered a Jemima puddle duck doll that's up here, and every time he comes up here he revisits it, but of course he leaves it because it's here for whatever reason. So he's going to take us to it now, so we're going to see his Jemima puddle duck doll. I'll keep the location a secret though.
Jemima puddle duck.
Hello Jemima. Do we know why she's there? Any idea why?
I have no idea. The first time I came here I discovered her quite by accident, and I'm really an advocate of leave no trace. I don't want to leave anything but footprints and take nothing but photographs. But this obviously means something to somebody. You'd never chance upon it. It's very, very unlikely that anybody would come across it. It's hidden away in this little crack, and it's probably where someone had their ashes scattered. And every time I come here, I come and visit her.
It's like a mark of respect.
Sort of, yeah. And I've got a little bit of a relationship with her. I like to say hello. I'd be very sad if I came back and she wasn't here, which is counterintuitive to what I believed, but there she is.
Yeah, you're going to get some people now commenting that it's counterintuitive. Yeah, fantastic. How cool is that? That's cool. Been to places before that offer a 360-degree view, but it has to be said, none as fantastic as this. Oh, struggling to hold you. She's dropping down a bit now out of the wind. It's still a little bit windy, but I'm just conscious of the fact I haven't taken any pictures yet. In all honesty, I just find being with that man quite fascinating, and just listening to his tales. So today, I suppose secondary is the pictures that I'm about to take. Firstly, it's about being out here somewhere new and just thoroughly enjoying myself. But that in the background is something I want to photograph, and I just can't help myself. I'm now already finding myself engineering a picture, because that in the background just looks tremendous. And I've seen a set of rocks where we were currently sat up there. I've seen a set of rocks down there that look as if they got leading lines leading out towards that most amazing view. So I've come down to check that out. See, I can't help myself, despite what I said earlier, I can't help myself engineer pictures. So the question I asked you then, because we don't want to make it sound as if we've just made this up, I asked you a question. I thought the answer would be good if it was on camera. So I said, how do you manage if you go off the beaten track? And you came out with a statement saying, well, there's a right to roam in Wales, of which I challenged you and said I thought the right to roam was only in Scotland and didn't actually realise it applied to Wales. To which you replied,
well, in Scotland there is no trespass laws.
Yep.
But in Wales and England, with a couple of exceptions, the Countryside Rights of Way Act of the early 2000s designated large areas of wildland where you can roam freely. And the way to, if you look at your Ordnance Survey maps, the land, the Explorer ones, if you can see that, you'll see the white areas of the map, and when you've got the yellow shaded areas, that's access land, and you can roam anywhere you like on that.
Can any of this be farmland?
Some of it's farmland, some of it isn't, but the important thing to remember is, if it's shaded yellow, it's access. You can go wherever you like, you can do whatever you want, as long as you're responsible. On the white areas of the map, you've got to stick to rights of way.
Right, so there you have it. So what I suggest you do is grab one of these maps, and if you find any farmhouses in the yellow, just go in, burgle, grab what you can. If you get caught, well, somebody's going to clear that mess up.
It's been there for quite a while.
Third and final location, quite a befitting end really to a fantastic day. An old Bronze Age burial ground. Didn't come much more somber than that. Just got back to the car completely banjaxed, and the first thing that tosspot did was offer this tosspot here his book. My vlog, my channel, that tosspot offers that tosspot a book. Isn't that just brilliant? Isn't that just fine and dandy?
Friends.
That's it. What I could do.
It's what a day, eh? Fantastic.
What I felt about today, I felt that my channel was hijacked. I felt I just felt like I'm cameraman for the day for you. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, we'll find out when you edit it, won't we?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to try and edit all these bits out now. No, thank you very much indeed. It's been an absolute joy. The weather picked up. I was asking him questions on the way, but I couldn't video it. But yeah, absolutely fascinating. Every corner, a story and facts to tell. So that's brilliant. Right, I'll leave the link down below for people who are interested in the book, but it's not all about the book. It's about meeting this man here, the man behind the man who created the book. So basically, it's all about the book. Nothing to do with this man. Have you enjoyed it?
Oh, I've had a great time.
Yeah.
Showing you this really precious area of Snowdonia has been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, and I've got to tell you, honestly from the bottom of my heart, I think this must be the first time I've ever gone out and vlogged, and I've literally forced myself to get my camera out of my bag and take one picture. So at the end of this vlog, I'll show you the one picture that I took.
I didn't take any.
So, but like I said, and we've said it a million times before, it's really not every time about the pictures you take. It's about, you know, getting out there and meeting nice people like yourself.
Thanks, man.
All right?
Yeah, thank you very much. We'll do it again.
Shake your hand. Yeah, one of them.
One of them. That's
Whoa! Who's gonna leave me hanging? Who's gonna leave me hanging?